Hello, you beautiful nerds. I feel like I was already predestined to watch this movie. I always liked Olivia Wilde as an actor, but I felt like her directorial debut, Booksmart, was incredible, and the fact that she was going to do a hard pivot and do a psychological thriller, it made me very intrigued. Like, no joke, I thought that this was an Ari Aster film the first time I saw the trailer. But at the end of the trailer, when I saw directed by Olivia Wilde, I was like, bitch. The cast looked incredible. Aside from Harry Styles, whom I know nothing about,
I don't know that fool.
I freaking love the work of pretty much every actor in this movie, from Nick Kroll to Gemma Chan. And it was being photographized by acclaimed cinematographer Matthew Libatique, who shot cool stuff like Requiem for a Dream, Straight Outta Compton, Iron Man, and my personal favorite comic book movie of all time, Josie and the Pussycats.
Can you see me hit my nose on the mic?
I was very excited to see this movie, but considering how little noise Booksmart made upon its release, I figured it'd be a small thriller like The Double that a lot of people wouldn't really know about. But then...
Oh my god, you guys! Drama bomb!
Yeah, shit has gotten really fucking weird in the making of this movie. It seems like every month news was coming out regarding this film and the people making it. If you haven't heard any of the noise surrounding this, then be careful with your cup, because I'm about to spill some piping hot tea, discuss whether you can get a great movie from a seemingly tumultuous set, and eventually we're gonna talk about whether this flick was actually any good. So have yourself a highball or a sherry or whatever white people drank in the 50s, and let's have a chat about... But first, a prelude. In the year of our Lord 2019, it was announced that Olivia Wilde would be directing a new thriller after New Line Cinema won a very competitive bidding war for the script. In April 2020, the cast was announced, and people were excited to see this stacked lineup of Chris Pine, Florence Pugh, and Shia LaBeouf? What? We're still putting him in movies? Okay. In the wise words of Tatiana,
we all make choices, but that was a choice.
That's right, a bunch of people got together and said, yeah, we want Shia in a movie. What could go wrong? And from that moment, everything went wrong. Moving right along, on September 11th, 2020, it was announced that LaBeouf got the LaBoot. Harry Styles, who is famously not an actor, would be playing the male lead role of this new movie. At the time, it was reported that Shia left because of scheduling conflict, but that turned out not to be true, maybe. But more on that right now, December 2020. It turns out that Shia was fired because he quote-unquote exhibited poor behavior and his style clashed with the cast and crew, including Olivia Wilde, who ultimately fired him. This all came up shortly after FKA Twigs filed assault charges against Shia. This was already a lot of drama, but it was only the first layer on this shit sandwich, because then in early 2021, reports were coming out that a romantic relationship was forming between the director and the new lead, as Olivia and Harry were seen holding hands in public. The picture came out just a few weeks after Ted Lasso star and creator Jason Sudeikis and Wilde publicly called it quits. I mean, the timeline is kind of muddy, but if you put two and two together, you can kind of tell that Olivia cheated on Ted with the guy from One Direction.
Choices.
February 2021, Olivia Wilde confirms in an interview that Shia was in fact fired and cited quote-unquote poor behavior. She also stated that she has a no asshole policy on set. Not sure how you didn't know Shia was an asshole before you hired him, but whatever. April 2022, Olivia Wilde is at CinemaCon to promote Don't Worry Darling when she was served custody papers from her ex Jason Sudeikis while she was on stage. Oof. Awkward. August 2022. Remember that guy Shia? Well, turns out, according to him, he quit the film because of a lack of rehearsal time. And just in case you don't want to believe Shia, because why would you? Apparently he's a big old liar. But Shia provided Variety with a video where Wilde seems to be pleading with Shia, asking him to reconsider leaving the film.
I feel like I'm not ready to give up on this yet, and I too am heartbroken, and I want to figure this out. You know, I think this might be a bit of a wake-up call for Miss Flo, and I want to know if you're open to giving this a shot.
From the video, it seems like Shia and Pugh had some sort of on-set squabble, and Olivia was trying to get everybody back on the same page, which isn't necessarily awful, but considering everything that came out before and what she said about Shia, it looks super cringe.
Congratulations. You played yourself.
From there, things continued to get weird. From the Venice Film Festival, where Chris Pine looked high on fucking mushrooms, to Olivia Wilde and Jason Sudeikis' ex-babysitter just telling all the secrets. Ain't nobody gonna hire this woman as a babysitter ever again. She can't keep a damn mouth closed. Miss Flo became a thing. Like Florence Pugh's entire styling team wore Miss Flo shirts.
Miss Flo.
And of course, there was the alleged spit, which I still feel like something happened there. That doesn't, like, what, like, that, he looks like he spit on him, right? And amidst all of this, the director only really had this to say.
As for all the endless tabloid gossip and all the noise out there, I mean, the internet feeds itself. I don't feel the need to contribute. I think it's sufficiently well nourished.
Really good response, but girl, we all know something is wrong. All that being said, I actually decided to take a lesson from the title of this flick, and I didn't worry too much. Of course, all this drama is wild and at times hilarious, but we gotta remember that Hollywood is a land full of overinflated egos and damaged ducks. So every once in a while, when you put a bunch of different personalities together, they clash. That's not to say you can't get a good movie out of it. On The Bourne Identity, the director was pretty much fired in the middle of filming, and that's a billion-dollar franchise now. I kinda think it's a miracle when any movie happens to be successful. Insanity on a movie set isn't necessarily a death sentence. The media loves to talk about this stuff because, I mean, let's face it, it's entertaining. But there is such a thing as a great piece of art wrought from a bad environment. So that brings us to the actual flick, and whether, despite all of this, they were able to make a good movie. So, were they able to make a good movie?
Let's put it this way. No.
The story follows Miss Flo and One Direction, who live in a 60s Palm Springs style neighborhood that is the picture of perfection.
But something else must be going on, right? The Chinese guy knows what I'm talking about.
There are a lot of things to like about this movie. It looks incredible. Again, phenomenal DP. And there are a lot of very good looking actors in this movie. Florence Pugh, aka Miss Flo. By the way, that is the last time I'll refer to her as Florence Pugh. She will now and forever be known as Miss Flo. Like when the Thunderbolts movie comes out, I'm calling her Miss Flo. But yeah, Miss Flo is the clear MVP of this flick. Despite all of the noise, her and Olivia Wilde have remarkably good chemistry together. Their scenes together are some of my favorite. They're hilarious, which shouldn't have surprised me. Wilde is a great actor. If you haven't seen A Vigilante, you should. Bring some tissues. But yeah, her scenes with Miss Flo kept drawing me back in whenever the movie started to get away from me. Chris Pine was also really good, but I feel like we could have had more of him. Not just because I like Chris Pine, but his character is very surface level, and we don't really get to find out anything interesting about him. Like, what the fuck do they look like in the real world? What is the public perception of this company on the outside? Clearly, they have some sort of like social media presence or something. That's how Harry Styles found out about it. And speaking of Styles, he does say he has to leave Victory every day to go to work. Which, first of all, everybody has to work every day. Don't feel bad for you. And second, which is probably the reason why I don't actually care that he has to work every day, we don't see what the work entails. Is this illegal work or is it just morally wrong? Is it physically taxing or is it emotionally taxing? Like, what's so terrible about the job? I understand why someone would create something so awful. Men do men stuff. That much I don't need an explanation for. I would just like to see what Victory is outside of this facade, especially since Gemma Chan kills Chris Pine seemingly to take over the business at the end. It's like, I can't even picture what that's gonna look like, which makes the ending very unsatisfying. The mystery of Victory is supposed to be the whole point of intrigue in the movie, but nothing about the discovery of the conspiracy is fun or satisfying in any way. There are some trippy visuals and unsettling moments, but they ultimately amount to nothing. Like, what was the fucking airplane about? The best shot of the film, which is another one of said empty, trippy visuals, is admittedly very cool, but is spoiled in the trailers, so I wasn't very wowed by the time I saw it in theaters. Once Miss Flo starts to actually do shit in the third act, stuff really picks up, especially during the chase scene. There's a moment where the music and the cinematography and the editing all come together like butt cheeks. It was amazing. And I was like, yo, where has this movie been the past hour and a half? And the actual ending, like the last frame of the film, is incredibly bold, and I kind of hate that it was wasted on such a nothing burger of a movie. And as much as I liked the last like 15 minutes, it couldn't trick me into liking the movie as a whole. And this guy, no offense to all you Harry Styles fans, I'm sure he's a fine singer and he's a very nice boy, but One Direction cannot act. I'm not one of those guys who just hates on him because he's pretty or whatever. I mean, I know who One Direction is, but I'm one of the few guys who couldn't have picked Harry Styles out of a lineup before he was cast in a Marvel movie. Yeah, I'm that level of nerd.
I hate to say it, I hope I don't sound ridiculous. I don't know who this man is. I mean, he could be walking down the street, I wouldn't know a thing. Sorry to this man.
But this guy was so terribly miscast for this role. I mean, Shia wasn't the right guy for this role either, but Styles is giving me nothing in this performance. He's not like the worst actor I've ever seen, but in a cast this stacked, he stands out, and not in a good way. The role calls for a very gifted performer, and I get the appeal of wanting to be the director who got a great performance out of a non-actor, but that did not happen in this flick, cause dude is not believable in any scene he's in. We've all seen a cartoon or a movie or a TV show with a scene of a flippant director trying to appease the vain, attention-seeking actor. It's one of those stereotypes that definitely exists for a reason. I think the Miss Flo video is just a glimpse of that, and it makes her look pretty two-faced and kind of fake. I mean, it's kind of funny, but I'm surprised this became such a big thing. I think a lot of people have the wrong idea of what a director does and doesn't do when it comes to putting a film together. I say all that to say that directing a movie is fucking hard, especially when you've been under heavy scrutiny for years before it even came out. I don't know what kind of person Olivia Wilde is, but directors have done much, much worse on set and still managed to work and be called geniuses. I'm still excited to see what Wilde does next, but the way I feel about this movie is similar to the way I felt about Us and Midsommar. I mean, the sophomore slump has a name for a reason. It happens a lot, and it shouldn't be the end of the discussion when talking about how good any of these directors are, because all of them had outstanding debut films, and that didn't come from nowhere. I personally was not a fan of this one, but I think the blame leans heavier on the failings of the story rather than how Olivia Wilde handled this whole crazy circus of a situation. But I do hope she gets a good script on the next film she decides to do, and I hope that Hollywood hasn't given up on her. But unfortunately, don't worry, darling, in my opinion, was all Styles, no story. My ranking, I didn't like it. Alright, that's it for this review. But we got some cool stuff coming up soon. Black Panther, Black Adam, black people.
And I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all. I'm blickety black, blacker than...
But until next time, stay safe, my little darlings, and may the force be with you.